All right, all you devils, here we go. Friday it is, and well, let's see. We'll take a spin through mostly major assets here. There's only a couple of cryptos that I think are worthy of a close look. Of course, we're going to start with Bitcoin. In this kind of volatility, you've seen me do this many times before. You get a little bit of uncertainty. Always a good idea to pull out to a higher time frame. And just kind of review, are there assumptions we're making here that are being challenged? Perhaps, or, how can we evaluate where we are in terms of probabilities of where we go next? Well, okay, I've got a weekly chart up here. I'm on Coinbase. There's a few, let's see, we go back to 2015 here. There certainly are some assumptions we're making here. If you maintain the bull case right here, that if this is a 1, this is a 2, we're going to a 3 here. Granted, I'm in log scale. I know that's pure bull porn. I understand that, right? But let's see if it makes sense. I think we're beyond the point to where we have to dispute whether or not we have an impulse here, right? And that's much of what we're going to look at today is, the question, right, that often comes up here. I get a lot of comments from people that aren't fans of Elliott Wave as to whether or not it's valid, whether or not it's still effective as a technician. I find that I think literally you would have to turn your brain to mush and just turn it off, right? All critical thinking to make any sort of assumption that Elliott Wave is no longer effective as a technical approach to the market. That would just be absurd. Here we're looking at, so we'll go back here, right? Pretty clearly that's a 5. There's some complexity here, but 5, 3, 5. Does the market move in 5s and 3s? I don't know. I don't think that's in dispute. But some people will resist. They just because of Elliott Wave's too hard. It's too subjective. Everybody's got a reason why they don't want to pursue it. But I don't think we can argue with whether or not it's effective, right? In terms of analyzing how the market moves, right? So now we have massive fear, right, in the market and uncertainty, right? That's when people make foolish decisions, and you see some of the extreme movement here that we're seeing in the market detached from anything other than just panic, right? Fear and greed, right? That's what creates the waves. It's not magic. It's not algos that create this. It's human beings that create this, right? It's fear, greed, fear, greed, fear. So here we sit with if it was any other asset, and I pulled this up, what would you even have to think for a millisecond about where we were? For the bull case, for those that are anticipating, here we're just going to pause and we're just going to carry on. Well, there's really, with the depth of this retracement, that's still valid, right? You could make a case that we've got a 1, 2, 3, 4, right? The little subjectivity of where that starts, because it's a little abnormal in terms of that correction, but the swing structure is not. So this potentially, right? There are those that are very committed to the idea that we're going to do a 1, 2, and 3, 4, 5, and this will be an extension in the 5th. Okay, right? It's certainly possible. With any other asset other than Bitcoin, would that be your first thought? Well, let's consider the possibility here that, now granted, of course, I'm in log scale, that with a completed, right? Certainly you could make a strong argument that we have a completed impulse, right? Now we can't. How do we absolutely let's get this up here. Let's get that off for a second. How do we absolutely definitively determine whether that's completed, right? Whether it's done? Well, we'd have to invalidate here. We'd have to break this low of the 4. So the idea of a 1, 2 extension here comes off the board. Still alive and kicking, right? Could be. We're still in. I've got this. That's a good one here. This what do we go? The adaptive trend finder here, very good, very useful. Right, for if you're working in log scale, as often we so often do in crypto. So you can get a regression channel on it, and it extends, unlike the built-in regression channel, which you can't apply in log scale. Right, so very useful. Okay, let's just consider this, right? So we maintain that possibility here that we're going to go into some sort of an extension. I think this, right, if you think about all the possible scenarios here, the the wave relationship seems a bit odd, right? So this 5-3 pretty solid. I think it's too much, right? It's too much hopium to think, oh, right, that's not the 4, right? And this took way too long. Now, of course, it distorts to your eye when we're in log scale, but if you take it out of log scale, well, let's reset here. This is hard to argue with as a 4, right? It's not likely 1 2 1 2 or 1 2 1 2 3 again, and this certainly looks like it completed. Let's go back to log scale here. I think you got to just be realistic, right? Don't be overly. I know, right? It's in the last 10 to 12 years, best performing asset in history, right? I understand, right? Obviously, right? I'm an enthusiastic bull and remain that way. But in terms of as a technician, if you're looking at this, well, okay, well, what's the worst case? Well, let me rephrase that, right? What would we anticipate? What would be typical here, right? What does the market usually do? If indeed this is a completed 5, right? We can use some of our technical tools here to evaluate here, even just the EWO here. Right, nice divergence here. Here's the 3, 4, 5. Right, all of that very, very reasonable. Right, you're not, accommodating any sort of a bias here. You've got a very real contender to have a completed impulse. Okay, well, where do they usually go after that? Again, we have almost 100 years of precedent. Where do they usually go? Well, all right, if we're going to do a 50% retracement, right, this is going to be a 1-2, which I would view as massively bullish, not bearish, right? Although anyone holding crypto is going to be very, very upset about that. Now, remember, again, we're evaluating this in log scale here. So let's just before you panic and you look at this and go, oh my God, we're coming down to 40K. Well, we certainly could, right? We certainly could. Let's take it out of log scale so we get a real look at what a 50% retracement is going to look like. Right? If we do, right, just low to high, 50% is 50%, right? Log distorts it. Well, that would put us at 62. And we'd be down a degree, right, in the prior 3, 4. Is this unreasonable? It certainly solidifies the thinking that this is a completed impulse here and this is a 2 right now. Again, any other asset, 1, 2. Would that not be what your first thought would be? Again, we kind of overanalyze here because we're all bullish and we all want to see it fly. Would this be a disaster, or would this be the buying opportunity of perhaps our lifetime? Well, that's a little hyperbolic, but I certainly would be buying down here. That's going to put Michael Saylor is going to be a little uncomfortable. He made a great comment the other day, right? I think it was on his Twitter feed. There are no tariffs on Bitcoin. And lo and behold, look at Bitcoin holding as the rest of the markets are just in free fall, right? Just completely getting destroyed. MAGA, right? MAGA. Well, it's too early to see, right? It's tempting. The I told you so's are really tempting, but it's too soon to make a call, right? They could still pull this off. They could, right? My view is these tariffs aren't going to stay in place, no matter what anyone says. I think they will be. It's just negotiating. Okay, right. So if we come down here, we have 2 candidates here, right? So this would be out of log, right? This would be in log. All right, so what are we going to do? Well, it remains to be seen. Would you be a buyer here? Well, let's go. What do I have over here? Oh, I think I've got just here. We can do it. Let's go over 1. Okay, so I'm down to a 3 hour here. Let me get that off here. I know that's annoying because I talk with my hands on the mouse. I catch it when I review the videos here. Trying to break that habit. So here, this is a holdover from in our live stream, right? And as I often say, right, our live streams, it's a great idea exchange. Members give us ideas how they're approaching things. Excuse me, where I always say it's where I get the best interaction with the members because I can see how they're applying our methodology here. Now this gets a little funky up here with the idea that we have that we did a truncation here in the 5th here, and this is A, B. Okay, there's probably other ways that you could count this here. I'd put the 5 up here and start with a 1, 2, right, 3, 4, 5. So you end up in the same place. A, B, C, W. Okay, right. This is probably, the most bullish hopium case. Okay, WX8, clearly we get a zigzag here, right? And that would be, as we've looked at this before, if you're using the proposed, this one, it wouldn't matter here. If you went to a secondary, to the dominant pivot, which is right here, right? High to high. And I went to the top here, right? We didn't even make the 50. Again, that's out of log scale, right? We go to log scale, we're well above it. Okay, if this is the 4 and we've gone 1, right? This has always been a little bit in dispute, right? The Elliottians may disagree here as to how you're going to do it. But once we get the thing started, could this be, if you put it here as potentially a triangle? Okay, we're a little closer to the 50, right? There's some variance here. This is irregular, right? It's unusual, which is why it's open to some interpretation, right? So there you go, right? Elliott haters. There's your bitch about it. All right, let's bring this up here. I think it was over here. If you put it here, we're just pretty close to the. I think it was 4 here, right here. If this is a triangle here, I'm just trying to recall because this is not my primary count. This is a members. That if this ended as a triangle, and we went A, B, C, D, E, and then this is the launch here into the 3. Well, now we've tapped golden zone, but that's a secondary pivot, so it's a little bit of chart. Yeah, okay, great, but the ALGOs doesn't care about your Elliott count. Okay, I digress. Now let's get in there and let's see. What have I got? A 3 hour here. So can we make this fly? A, B, C, W. Yep. A, B, C, X, A, B, C. Of course, the balance of time between the second A, B, C and the first is irregular. Right? Let's call it that way. It would be very unusual to have it that compressed, right? But unusual times. But if we do that. Oh, we can use the 50 here. Well, now what happens? Golden zone, golden zone, golden zone, golden zone. Bitcoin loves the golden zone. It just bounces back and forth, right? So we have no trend here. It's just algos pushing it one way to the next, right? So you don't really have a particular edge here, other than if you're a short-term trader, right? Buying the, I know, right? It's always easy in hindsight. Buying the lows here. Coincidentally here, and I'm just drawing the from this pivot here, the volume profile. Well, look where the value area highs and lows here, right around those golden zones. So if you were determined to be trading this short term, well, sell the high, buy the low. I don't know. Again, very easy in hindsight. It's a little, that's not something I would be pursuing because I don't have time for it, right? So I'm a long-term trader, and something you've heard me say for many years is that Elliott is most effective when you're certainly 60 minutes and above, but you go out daily, weekly, that's when it's really just in your face, where it's just in dispute. You just cannot argue with it. It would just be a moronic argument. We'll look at a few charts here. God, I'm already about 12 minutes in. Okay, right, so possibly, did we do a diag here into a 1 ABC? This is not pretty. This would be, right now, it would be interesting, right, if it happened, right, because this golden here, golden, right? So we go golden, 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 golden. That's all we're doing. Now we need to launch out of here with a decent 5, which we do not have, right? So this is suspect, although there it is, right? It's in your face. Could it be 1, 2, and we're going to get out of here? Yeah, it could be, right? You're going to do a 1, 2 here. Looks like you might be able to talk yourself into a 5, but then we're straight. It's not what we're hoping to see. Again, as we've talked about the last couple of weeks, right, all of the behind the scenes, the infrastructure, the regulatory issues, all of those issues are being dealt with, cleared up, very friendly. We've got a crypto-friendly administration, massive amount of money invested into getting this administration in office, right? Hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars from the crypto industry to get this administration in place. Not sure how they're feeling about it today, but certainly all of the ingredients are there for the bull market to continue, right? Well, that takes you back to, well, then you're back here to the long term, thinking, well, wait a minute, if all of that regulatory uncertainty, right, if all of that's off the table, and now we have a clear path to flight, could that be why we're not selling off with other risk assets? Again, right? There's no tariffs on Bitcoin. I'm not buying here. Let's say that, right? I just need to see a little more clarity. Now I'm plenty long. It's easy to say if you're plenty long, right? Oh, I'll just wait. Yeah. Easy to say. If you're looking for an opportunity to get in, well, if you're thinking 1, 2, and it's going to be an extension, well, wouldn't you want to wait for a little bit of a deeper retracement? Maybe come down here, tap into some of this. It's you could buy it there, right? I mean, again, but if you go back to a daily and let's simplify it, and you take it out of log scale, okay, right? Well, first assumption is, okay, that's correctly identified as the 4, right? Which is perfectly valid, right? Could be. Let's get you right on that. WXY, right? It's not particularly clean and pretty. A, B, C, right? You probably tuck yourself into that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Is it ugly? Yeah, it's ugly. Is that the launch, right? Well, now we were just looking, right? Is this the 1, 2? I'd want a better start here, right? So if you dig into that, it's just not the start you want. We don't get an impulse. Okay, again, with your bullish goggles on, you could probably talk yourself into right, but now we're down to a 15, right? I mean, you're really squeezing to maintain a bullish bias. You're like, oh, okay, probably okay there. Probably got a decent 3, 4, 5, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Is that clean? Straight line. You're gonna do an A/B. It's just, I just want to discourage you from just buying it because you want. There's no edge here. This would not be, this is what you'd be saying. Okay, that's the ABC, right? And then again, do I get something impulsive? No, right? It just is, again, there's too much uncertainty. I think the most encouraging thing is that Bitcoin is not selling off of the NASDAQ, right? That's very encouraging. Even gold is selling off, right? We're gonna look at gold. But this is just not, there's no need to buy here yet. You're not gonna miss anything. Now, if you're a long-term accumulator, God, I think Michael Saylor bought, I don't know, 500 billion worth at 86K. Right, we're not too far below that, right? So if you're a long-term accumulator of Bitcoin, as he is, anything under 86 is on sale. That's not good enough for me to add to my holdings here, but I'm certainly watching this closely, looking for some signs of an impulse. It's a 15-minute. Now this is where Elliott it really starts to break down, right? It's why it's always more powerful when a day, really 4 hour and above is where you really are going to see it. So we go up to a 4 hour. Well, now we're back into golden zone to golden zone to golden zone to golden zone, right? There's no edge here, right? You're just going from value area low to value area high to value area low. Nothing to really see there. Okay, so I think this is a hurry up and wait. Let's see how can we resolve out of this with something that's impulsive, right? We're kind of, a little bit of a hope, right? This is, it's holding. It's holding. I don't know where the market went. At new lows as I'm recording this, putting in new lows on the day. Don't force anything here, right? This is when people make stupid, irrational, emotional decisions because they're scared, right? Fear, greed, fear, greed, fear, greed. That's what creates the waves, not some magic algorithm. Okay, let's I have everything over here. This was the kind of simplified version, right? If it's this is in log, out of log. If this is 1, 2, okay, well, we've gone far enough, but we're not getting the, right? This is, you got to go back and forth. Look at it in log. Look at the perpetual. Look at the look at the futures. You got to look at it in every conceivable way. Okay, do I really feel confident here that I've got a 1, 2 in the making here, or is this just a completed impulse and we're waiting for the deeper retracement down here? We've got unmitigated, all this is unmitigated order flow. We haven't even touched it, right? So if I just put this right here, right, we haven't touched this down here, right? So you can certainly see algos kind of salivating. Oh, where can I reload? Where can I refuel? Whew. You think there's some stops down here? Some liquidity? Yeah, I think so. Right, even if we use this, right? The last ping out of the golden zone. Well, we come here. Let's put the full boat on. All right, 38. Let's get the two in there. Oh. Let's get you right on it. Out of log scale. 50 to the tick. Again, could it be that might get you back to thinking, oh, 1, 2, 1, 2. That doesn't look like a 2. It looks much like a 4. A 4 at a 2. Right? Again, you see the same thing happening here, the same phenomenon. If I bring this down here. unmitigated order flow, right? Comes right to the edge of it. Right, bulls hold it. What do you see in it now? Right, so that remains unmitigated, right? All of this the same. Now you could take it all the way down to the last little swing low. Do we think we're coming that far down? Right now, this is out of log scale. Don't rush here. Right, be patient. Okay, let me get off of Bitcoin. I'll stick with the three cryptos here. I'm going to look at. This is the one that I'm really watching carefully. Oh, let's go out. Let's start here on a weekly, right? So this is Ripple, also another one of the few cryptos that's not selling alts, right? They're just a nightmare. But this is a holding, right? So it looks so much like you've got a 4 here. The subdivision in the daily count, it really needs to hold. We need to kick here, right? That's all that consolidation here. But if you break it down, I'm on a weekly. If you go down to a daily, there's a very strong case that we've got a completed impulse here. What's the difference is that we're not creating anything that looks like a correction. We're just holding here, not progressing the trend, right? It looks very much like a 4. So if this is a 4 and we're in a 1, 2, 3, 4 with one more leg up, sooner or later, right? It's the same premise. Oh, come here. If it's 1, 2, 3, and we're doing the 4 here, and we're going up for the 5, well, this possible, but unlikely, right? Right? What do they typically do? What do they typically do? That if we're going to do that, and we got up here to 10, 12 bucks, right? Is that going to be the top, or is that going to be the 1 of the 5, right? And this is going much higher. That's my view. Right? I'm very long here and have no interest in getting out of it. Right, this would be invalidation, right? Until it comes down here to, what is that, 40 cents, I stay long and strong here, right? But something like this, right? If you came back down here prior 3, 4, right? Again, I don't have this, but if we came up here and completed that, I'd be still thinking 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? I think, now, are we going to go up to 400? You know, again, that's bull porn, right? I would be plenty happy if we got to 10 bucks. I'm long in the sense, right? So if we could get something like that, okay. Don't be just overly discouraged, right? Because we can't tell yet, right? This is very, let me get you over here. Oh, here it is on a 4 hour, right? Are we holding here for the 4? Well, it better hold. Here's my point, right? You can pretty much see it pretty clearly here. If this is 1 and that's 2, well, there's a pretty solid case for that to be done here. And this to be 3, we've looked at this before, and this to be 5. But that does not look like the start of a 2. It looks like we're still in a 4, right? So I'm watching this really closely, right, for my own book as well as for my own holdings, as well as for clients, right, for members. Right? This is, I think, the one that I really do not want to see this one fall. Just in general for crypto, right? Now we look at the channeling. How does that look? Pretty good, right? I'm on a 4 hour. Right, go to a daily. How's the channeling? Here's the value. Here's the volume profile. I mean, it's very much looking like a 4, right? Which suggests there's another kick up here. But again, don't assume, oh, we're going to, $40. If we went up here, you got up in 10, anything like that. What do they usually do? Careful, right? I'd be watching that. The one other crypto here, this one is astonishing here. Well, that's something here I'm trading as well, but we'll stay on crypto. Defying mantra. Looks actually much like Bitcoin, right? In fact, oh, shit, where'd it go? Bring this over here. I wanted to understand a bit more about it. I think I had this. Maybe it was on Coin. One of these I could put. Hang on a second. Let me go to all time. I thought I had it here where I could add. Must have been on CoinGecko. That's right. That's right. You come over here and look at it. Right there's. We look at the last year. Just unreal. Must have been CoinGecko where I could put the overlay. Yeah, that was it. These practice videos are so useful. I said just in jest. There's with Bitcoin on top of it. Here's ETH on top of it. ETH's actually outperformed. But let's go to Bitcoin here and look at this 3, 4. Holding like a champ, right? So that is one that I would definitely keep your eyes on here. Now I'm dying to buy it down here. Right? We can get down into $4 or $5, right? I'm just watching this closely, right? I'm just chomping to buy it right there, right? Looking for that 5. Why? Because I don't think it's in dispute whether markets move in 5s and 3s. Again, I've been doing this for 30 years. How are you going to argue with that? That's a moronic argument. Yes, that's the brilliance of Elliott. Right? 5s and 3s, we have almost 100 years of precedent. So if you're disputing that, you're closing your eyes, right? Because you don't want to do any work. Okay, let's go to let's just finish up here because this is I know everybody's kind of glued to the new lows, glued to the markets. I'm going to stay on this theme here for those of you that, but this is for, this is for members, right, who made the decision to invest in our education material because they felt the same way, that this was clearly how the markets move, not why they move, but how they move. And if you're a little concerned, God, is this Elliott Wave stuff, is it worth really putting the effort in to learn this? Well, again, this is kind of where proving grounds. Let's go to gold. It's probably daily is good enough here. Look at the precision here. Well, this is interesting. All right, now this is where this is just the human phenomenon of, well, it's different here, right? It's going to be different this time, right? I mean, you could say the same thing about the S&P, crypto. You name your asset. Well, okay, but it's not this time. It can be different this time. Because now I'm trading, right? So now I don't mean me. I mean you, the viewer, or you, the trader in 2025. Well, you're trading, so it's going to be different now. There's almost no chart I can't put up in front of you where you could have made that argument, and all right, it's never different this time. Never. It's always the same. 1, 2, 3, 4. Big extension in the 5th. Well, are we done? 3,200. It certainly looks like you've got the massive push into the 5th, right? So you get that blow off top here. Do we have divergence? Well, you got some, right? Here I've got an ADX here. I've been using this a lot just to help people, right, kind of identify the trend. Well, the trend's weakened just a touch. Let's go into that last little kick here and see how we look. That's a pretty good sell-off. There's certainly a valid, if you put a channel on this, certainly a valid channel gets you done here, right? That's always what's so critical to a good Elliott wave count. We want that channeling to be a factor. Well, we've got the long-term channeling here, which didn't balance perfectly with the 4 coming down here, but we stayed close to the center line, right? And then we had kind of a blow off top. Now, I'm not calling the top in gold. I'm just saying all of the ingredients are there for that to be at least the start of a retracement, having completed the 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. A, B, C. A little funky there, but we go flat, right? What's the characteristic of a 4? We stop progressing the trend. It makes the 4 the easiest thing to spot. Okay, we go sideways, then we go out, up for the 5. 5 of the 5 of the 5. Well, it's either, what are your choices here? This is the beauty of Elliott Wave, right? I try and emphasize with people. There's only a couple of choices here now. We've completed an impulse. So either this is going to be 1, 2, and we're going to have a massive extension in the 5th, and gold's going, 5,000, 6,000, right? If this is a 1, 2, and we're going up here, well, there's plenty of room for that still to be going, right? Now, this is where people go, oh no, not this time, right? It's going to be different this time. If that's a completed impulse, where does it usually go? 2,500. Again, you don't have to take. That's not me telling you that. That's almost 100 years of precedent. Where do they usually go? Don't take my word for it. Open up your own chart book. Pick any asset. Completed impulse. Where do they usually go after? All right, are we coming down here? Well, it's not that far. I mean, it's relatively, right? Completed the 5, 50% retracement. again, that's not. You don't have to listen to me. Believe me. You don't have to. You just believe yourself, right? Believe your own eyes. Where do they usually go? Well, what else? Let's see. I think I got. Oh, let me just double check here. Hang on a second here. I thought I had two. Before I finish up here again, just to kind of stay on that theme. Well, let's go to a weekly here. Does the market move in 5s and 3s? Is Elliott Wave still valid 2025, right? Is this relevant, or is it all, ICTs things, teaching, right? Which now, you've heard me say this for a long time. You cannot trade Elliott Wave without trading market structure. You can trade market structure and not include the Elliott Wave. They play very nicely together because Elliott Wave is the OG of market structure. This is a break of structure, retrace, break of structure, right? That's again, it's a lot of repackaging. Okay, right? Does the market move in 5s and 3s? 1, 2, 3, 4. Look at the precision here. Look at the channeling. Look at the 1, 3, 5 channeling. Is this still valid in 2025? Look at the retrace to the 4. That's 50 to the tick. Coincidentally, right, not overlapping the 1. Right. Are the algos involved here at all? Right? You think human beings are that precise? Nope. Nope, they're not. Right? Only software can be that precise. Okay, right. So from the 50, did Al get paid here? Here's his target. So what would we assume here now with the dollar? Well, you have the same conundrum here, right? As a technician, oh, is it different this time, right? And we're going to have an extension in the 5 because this is holding where you might anticipate a 4. So is this going to be is this 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2? And we're going to do some sort of a flat in the 2 before we go higher for the dollar? Well, where is that putting the dollar, right? I mean, all-time highs. Oh, shit. Wait, we got to go back to 164. We're going to do a 1, 2 and go way back here to challenge the highs. Again, not that it's not possible. Draw it out, right? And look at that and say, okay, is that likely? Is that what we're going to do here? I'm not saying we're not. That would be abnormal, right? We don't want to trade abnormal. We want to trade what does it usually do. So on that premise, we've certainly got a valid contender here to have completed an impulse. Right? It's perfectly. I mean, I can't make this shit up. Every piece of it is absolutely fucking perfect, right? Perfect, Elliott. Now, this don't get used to that, right? Elliott's not perfect, right? It's not always perfect. This is just, again, we're out on a weekly, right? Where's Elliott Wave most effective, right? Longer term. I think that's where people, get a bad taste in their mouth from it. They're trying to trade it on a 5-minute, right? And the accounts are changing all the time. You go out to something long term like this, they don't change as much, right? So you can really be. I mean, there's no better predictive tool, period, right? I know many will dispute that. When you've been doing this for 30 years and you want to challenge that, come on, let's have a chat. Okay, so what do we got here? There's a candidate here for this to be done as a 5. All right, let's get this out of here. Well, actually, pardon me. Let's just bring it down to the low. Okay, so if indeed we're going to retrace, right? This would be a 50% target, right? Complete the 5, retrace, right? Does it look like we've got it? Well, it would be something along these lines. We've got a clear 5 here. We've got we'll look at it in a second. We've got a 3 here. Now, it looks like we're going to complete the first 5 here at the channel line, the trend line, which would suggest, if we're going to complete there, boy, that's right in line with where you might find a 4, right? You can almost look at it. That's going to be a 38. Are we going up from here? Or is this going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for the dollar? Well, again, policy is certainly going to be determinative there. If again, is 1, 2, 1, 2? I don't think the idea that we're going to put the 5 up here and the 3 up here is valid, right? It just doesn't make sense. Oh, I suppose it's possible. You'd have to. It's possible. That actually is possible now that I sit here and look at it. You could do it this way. You could put the 5 here. you're kind of forcing it because you want to. Is it possible? I suppose, yeah, you could. Let's see. Just know here I'm doing this on the fly. Let's bring this back down here. This is such a perfectly completed impulse here. You'd have to be doing 1, 2, 1, 2. I don't think so, right? I think when in doubt, what is the most obvious thing to your eye, right? That seems to be the most obvious here. And we're back to that. So if we're coming back down, right, this would be the target. Well, let's get in here, right? So we've got a good 5. Let me get over to a daily here and see if this makes sense. There's no disputing that 5, right? There's an impulse. Now, this gets a little funky here. We go, you have to do it, you got to go A. Here's the A. Here's the 3 into the B, into the C. So we go A, B, right? 3 into the B, and then we get a ripping 5, right? So we got an A, pardon me, A, B through an A, B, C. Coming down. All right, let's go. Let's go to let's try. Well, sure. Let's go to a 4-hour. Okay, what do we see here? Again, does the market move in 5s and 3s? Is Elliott just as valid in 2025 as it was in 1935? Well, you don't have to do it with pencil and chart and graph paper. Makes it a little easier. Is the channeling effective? Are the wave relationships consistent? Again, you got 100 years of precedent. Why dispute it? Why not go with it? Why not learn it? I'm not saying it's easy. I'm not saying trading's easy, but I'm saying this, you will be a much better trader. Well, I shouldn't say it that way. This won't hurt you if you start employing Elliott Wave. Well, we can help you learn it, but you have to be willing to put the work in. Okay, right. So I've got a clear 5 here for the C leg, the C here in blue here of my ABC into a B. Right? Perfect. Now what happens? 1, 2. Failure swing. Right? 1, 2. Clearly an impulse. Again, I don't think anyone would dispute we've got an impulse there. And now we're getting a little kick, right? Does that look like perhaps we're going to go put in the 4? It might look something like this. Put in the 4. What would the implication be? One more down for the C. Okay, well then if we complete a 5 here, right, because we've completed something here and now we're getting the reaction. If we complete that, what's the implication? If we're going to do, oh shit, no. We could invalidate here, but it looks to me like we're going to do something like this. That would be the highest probability, what I would suggest. Again, based on precedent, I got a pretty good looking 3, 4, down for the 5. Now I'm correcting that. Where would you anticipate it? Again, it's the same way, same thing every time. Or 6 years, have you seen me do it the exact same way? Okay, where might we look for that? Where's the high probability? Where's the highest probability location for the wave 3? Excuse me, for the wave 4. 23 to 38, right? We'd be right on the channel. Now, do I know that's going to happen? No, there's no knowing. What do they usually do? Right, that would suggest we're going to come down here. Well, if we come down here, then that takes you back to, wait, whoa. If we complete down here, is that the C? Is that the AB? Or is this the, you got to consider all the possibilities here. That could be the C, and we're going to hold right here, and then we're going to start to go up. And we're going to have a shallow 1, 2 before we go higher, right? And then you'd be back to, oh, I guess that's not the 5, right? What's the alternative? Because again, this is the decision matrix in Elliott is the power of it. If we complete this 5, what's the other possibility? Well, we start to retrace, and many will start thinking, well, again, not that they won't be wrong, right? But they may or may not be right. They're going to start to think, oh, that ABC is completed, so now we're going to go 1, 2, right? We're going off to new highs. What's the other possibility here? We complete. Well, let's just do it this way here. Let me redraw it. We complete the 5. We do an A, B, C. What would that be? 2, 3. Let's do a triangle just for fun. All right, we break the channel here, which would imply, right, that indeed this is over. We go back to the weekly. the implication would be with the break of that channel, well, we're going to do it. We do the whole thing. We're going to do an A, B, C down to golden, right? Prior support, prior resistance, excuse me, for the support. Again, you don't have to take my word for it for any of this. Look at the chart. Put a few numbers on it. Can you find the 5s and 3s? Okay, hang on. I got one more here. We'll finish with the S&P. Okay, again, same thing. I'm just going to make the same case over and over again because it's not in dispute. Right now, this okay, right? So Elliottians might differ on the count here. I'm going to go back to the Great Recession, that low, that '09 low here, and then we get the rip roaring, right? The Fed, creates all this. Okay, so we get a 1, looks like a 2 into the COVID low, and then here's the 3, 4, right? A lot of very skilled technicians were warning about this, right? The breadth of the market, right? If it's all Mag 7, it would certainly appear as though we have a contender, right? It's just a contender for a completed impulse here. Now it's a little bit wacky because of the I'm in log scale. If I take it out of log, let me get rid of the adaptive because that distorts. It seems a little cleaner here, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, A, B, unusual, but right with the COVID low, that's impulsive, right? So A, B, C into the COVID low. I think it was, I can't remember here. It was close to a 50. Doesn't matter. Let's take that off for a second. 1, 2, 3, 4. We don't come close to this. Right, if I move this down here, right, for the potential invalidation, 3, 4, well, squeeze, right, and looks like we end with a diag here. Well, what does the bull say? Now look at the 2. That's the God MA, right? It's the average of the 200 EMA and SMA. That's useful, right? It's kind of a proxy. I use it as a proxy for the Vegas wave. It's just fewer lines on the chart, but we're just coming in to tap it right at this low volume node here, right at the prior 1, right. We're coming to it right now. Shit, we're on the lows. Okay, so what are you thinking? Well, if you're a bull and you think, oh well, with AI and everything else, right? The same, in the deregulation and drill baby drill and everything else, right? So you're what are you thinking, right? You're not thinking that we completed an impulse here. You're thinking 1, 2, right? And that the 5 is still yet to come. That's not unreasonable. I'm not disputing that. I'm saying you got to recognize the possibility here that we could be done. Well, invalidation, right? You're gonna have to come all the way down here to invalidate, which 4,400, is that possible? We're reorging the global trade alliances. It's certainly possible, right? Here's a big test is going to be right here, right? You could call this all just unmitigated bullish order flow. It's untapped, untested. We're going to come down and tap it. Looks like we're going to tap it right as we tap the 200. Okay, well that's the weekly, right? I know, right? Does the market move in 5s and 3s? Probably people are tired of hearing that, right? But I get you would not believe the comments I get of people saying, "Oh, this is such bullshit, right? This doesn't work anymore." So that's why I kind of focus on that because it's just a moronic statement to say. Right? You're closing your eyes to what's in front of you. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. A few warning shots about that, right? But it's you always think, oh, it's different this time, right? Again, for all those reasons, right? Oh, we got a crypto, or we got a deregulatory, business friendly admin. Oh, it's going to be boom, boom, boom. Well, they still may pull it off, right? I'm not rooting against them. I'm no fan of Trump's, but I'm not rooting against it. I want them to be successful with this effort, right? But certainly it's causing a lot of pain. Who's it hurting most, right? People who voted for him. Okay, right. So now let me get off of that. I'll say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Right, I've got a completed impulse. Okay, so if indeed, right, this is all just a retracement here. We're just resetting the global order. Right, it's going to work out all fine. Right, turn on Fox News. Of course, they'll tell you it's all brilliant, it's perfectly done, perfectly coordinated. It's all going to work out. You don't have to feel stupid for how you voted. That's if you need to get that validation, there's every right-wing media outlet is going to give it to you. Okay, 1, 2, right? We just tagged the 50. Right? Could it be DXY? Yeah, it could be. Right? Got a little low volume node there where the 1 is. Is that what you're thinking? You want to buy that? Well, not unhedged, right? I mean, we're closing Friday on the low. That's pretty typical, right, on bad news. You know, it would have been nice to see a bounce today, right? I think everybody would have breathed a little bit more easily. Now, we're not to the close yet, but that's an ugly looking, you know, we're bear market now at NASDAQ. We're 20% from the high. So we've got a bear market. Now, recovery, right? That's the wild card, right? So we have been conditioned to anticipate recovery. Certainly, the administration is going to talk about the boom to come. Well, 4,200, right? The boom will not be coming, not anytime soon. But we're only 50% of the way there, right? Where I'm at a log scale, right? So just the entire length here, where there's halfway. We keep going down here. Okay, you're still going to be thinking 1-2. Well, it certainly would be valid, right? There's 1618 here at the golden zone. If we come down further, right, then it starts to look a lot like a 1-2, right? We're already to where you'd anticipate the 2. I think a 4 is now out of the ballpark, right? It's now the only question is, how far are we going? We're going to do this. We have to come down to this. Right? No one knows. No one knows, right? Do you want to buy that? No, I think there's no need, right? It's very tempting, right? Sell out of the money premium here, but there's too much uncertainty to take directional risk right now. All I did was just hedge, right? So I'm down, but I'm minimizing the impact just because of, right, the uncertainty. To tell you the truth, I was kind of expecting a little bit of a bounce today, but right, the market's not having it. Pay attention to that. If we overlap that 1, right, we start eating into this, right? You're just going to start moving that down. So if we start eating into it, you're going to go lower and lower and lower. Here's the last little swing low, right? The last order block, right? The down before we go up. That's the edge of it here is right at the golden zone. If we keep selling, right, that's likely the next target. Well, we know an algo is going to fire there, right? Whether they can hold it or not remains to be seen. But if we go down, let's go to a 4-hour here. What do we think we're doing here? Well, this looks like WXY. Well, let me get that off of there. Looks like WXAB. Doesn't look like that's done though, does it? Let's go to a 1 here to see if we can put a count on it. See, this is the bad news, right? If you're bullish, right? If you're waiting, right? This is why you don't want to buy the dip just yet, right? Does not look like, if this is A, well, let's complete it. That's the A and that's the B, right? We're looking for that C. Let me get you out of here because it's hard to see it now. Right, let's get well, I could put the channeling on it, the adaptive, I have to put it in log scale, right? This is so sharp, you almost, what can you do with it, right? You gotta pull this fucker down. Right, we need to get it on the other side of that channel, right? And we need to hold. Right now, it just looks like, you know, new lows going in. Where's the next target, right? If we don't hold here, right? And if we sweep that 1, well, here's the golden zone. Why would you assume something else, right? That's right from the high. Why would you assume something else? Now here, I'm just taking the length of the A here and these fib swings here, projecting from the B. Well, we just passed 100. If we keep going, second most common, 127, 138. There's a 618 down here at golden zone, right? Golden zone could stop it. Now, you know, day's not over yet. No telling how far that's going, but I would not be, you know, I wouldn't be chasing shorts here. If anything, before you consider a short, let's get a pivot here and let's get something into the 4. Then, right, perhaps you're pursuing the move down here. Again, not because you know it's going down there. In a move like this, what do they usually do? We begin and end in 5s, right? That's a 3. We're not done yet. I'm afraid we're not done yet. 3, let's get a pivot, retrace, right? Watching the 1. Right, probably a good opportunity, right, for people, you know, don't put the kids' tuition money into it, but there's probably a good opportunity there for that, for a reasonable short there. I would do it with options myself, right? If the market retraces here, right, then the puts will be a little bit, God, you don't want to buy puts today, right? They'll be so full of premium, right? They'll just be so overvalued. You want to wait for the retrace, let some of that premium depreciate a little bit in the puts, right? Some of that volatility scare premium that you know they're buying puts like crazy today. Retrace for that. Let some of that come out and then buy the put spread. You can do it in the SPY, right? You don't have to do it in the S&P. In the futures, you do it in the SPY, right? Where it's a more palatable amount of capital at risk. Trading the 4 for the 5, right? And then you could get down here. Oh, wait for the reaction. Do I get a little baby 5? If I get a 5, right? Now we start all over again. Okay, with that, just a reminder, TradeDevils.com, right? Our links are directly below, right? BloFin's our sponsor, right, for you crypto traders. Well, this is the only one that I'm really eyeballing, right, other than Bitcoin. Watch this one. This one is defying all odds. Even at a log scale, right? It still looks great. Just a bit, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Right? Reminder, it's never going to be different this time. Okay, guys, with that, I wish you a good weekend, and we'll catch you next week.